Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 431 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. I'm Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and we have the full crew here this week, kicking things off with the owner of MTG Goldfish, Richard. How are you this fine Monday, Richard?
Good morning, Seth. How are you doing?
I'm doing... Where's your couch? Didn't you have a couch behind you in the past?
So I had a couch, okay, and then I swapped for
but now you have a lily.
And then I have a lily now because I needed to clear some space to do some work. The love sack is like over here. You can see it poking out. It'll come back once once I finish with my work area.
I gotcha. That makes sense.
That's the company Liliana, right?
That's the company Liliana.
She comes, like, you know, everybody takes care of her every week, right? Like, you know, next week she gets shipped to Seth.
Yeah. Oh, no. She's never leaving my gripping hands ever. It's staying here.
just like Tomer's giveaway plant. It's apparently never leaving his house, no matter how many times we give it away. We got another co-host in Krim. Good morning, Krim. How are you today?
Terrible. Very, very terrible. As a Kings fan, a Sacramento Kings fan, this is fresh off the press. This is the one last time I get to wear the jersey for the season because they got destroyed by the Warriors. But, you know, I say this really, really quickly one last time. Light the beam. Love my Kings. Happy to have just even gotten to Game 7 against the defending champions.
Yeah, that's a pretty good performance for a team that hasn't made the playoffs in a while. Like, you can't feel too bad about how the season went, really. So,
I was in middle school the last time the Kings were the Kings were good. The last Magic set that came out around that time was, I think, Guild Pact.
Whew, yes. Wow, that's a lifetime ago.
NBA is pretty slow with these balance changes, huh?
Yeah.
Somebody needs to nerf. Like, I thought we had a Rule 0 discussion about Steph Curry, but I guess not. So, not cool, dude.
So our plan for today, like a month ago, we did a podcast talking about why certain cards were banned in Modern, but the Modern ban list is pretty big, so we couldn't actually get through all of it. So today, we're going to try to complete the Modern ban list, going through the rest of the cards we didn't talk about. Not a lot of news this week that we haven't already talked about. We're going to have spoilers next week, so this seemed like the perfect time to finish going over why cards are banned in Modern. Yeah, Aftermath starts tomorrow officially. Oh, it's a quick, like, 2-3 day spoiler season or something, but yeah, it's spoiler season right around the corner. Before we get into it, though, a reminder that today's show is brought to you by Card Conduit, and Card Conduit, they're the easiest way to sell your Magic cards. And if you're tired of all the hassles that go into buy listing your cards, all the typing and time and work, Card Conduit lets you skip them with their curated service. You can send in as many cards as you want with a buy list value of $1 or more and pay just a 5% service fee. And if you want to do a little bit of work, you can use the sorted service where you list and sort your cards ahead of time and pay just a 2% fee. And no matter which one you choose, you're going to get a detailed report with the results and a fast payment once your order is processed. And right now, you can even get another 10% off by heading over to cardconduit.com/mtggoldfish. Card Conduit, they're the easiest way to sell your Magic cards. So thank you to Card Conduit for supporting the show. And let's talk some Modern ban lists. And we still have a pretty big chunk of cards to get into. And we're going to start with, I think, a pretty good place to start, which is we left off. The last card we talked about last time was Faithless Looting. We've been going through this kind of alphabetically, which means the next card is Field of the Dead. And we were talking about this off cast when we were getting the cast set up. And Richard, you didn't even realize Field of the Dead was banned in Modern at this point. So Richard, what do you think about this? Does Field of the Dead actually need to be banned? It was banned in 2021, so we're about 2 years ago, the same time Uro was banned, actually.
Is it that bad? Like, okay, so you Titan Amulet, like, green decks, but I don't know, they just get their 2 things and kill you anyway. Like, does it matter? I mean, like, they can go longer, you can Valakut with it. These decks aren't, like, really tier 1. Like, is this gonna matter? Can't you just play a sweeper? So the answer is no, by the way. You can't play a sweeper because they just keep getting lands and making zombies forever. But is it really that bad with what's going on in 2023? Are a bunch of 2/2s gonna cut it? I don't know.
I mean, it's not fast. That's true. And I would not actually like advocate for it being unbanned, but the world was kind of different back then. Like when it was banned, it was played with Uro a lot. Like that was one of the other homes is just like mid-rangey Uro piles where Uro was giving you extra land drops, and then that got banned. Primeval Titan decks are really good though. Like they are definitely tier 1. I don't know if we want to give like the Amulet Titan another way to win. Like in theory, the problem is like you stop the main plan of winning with, you know, Primeval Titan just killing you and Valakut shenanigans. Like if you shut that off somehow, the Field of the Dead is still going to get you. It might not be super quick, but it's still going to get there eventually. What do you think about this, Grim? Is there any argument to actually unbanning Field of the Dead in Modern?
No. Like why? Like why, right? Like what is the upside? What does it do for the health of the format? Let's say it's not even good, right? Let's just say it sucks. Why? Like why
so
let
we can
something
sell
like
zombie
that run
tokens out of our
rampant?
merch shop, Chris.
Oh, come on. As if we have a need to sell zombie
was Red in
tokens,
6
right?
legal with Field of the Dead?
Yes. Red and 6 was
Okay.
legal with Field
So
of
that
the Dead.
interaction
Yeah.
has
I
always
think.
been there.
That's always
So,
been
like,
there.
You've already got Valakut, you've got Urza Saga. Why give these amulet decks another way to beat you? So now, as Seth had mentioned, literally every land they play would kill you.
Well,
And
how,
it already
how different
kinda-
is this from Valakut? Why don't we just ban Valakut and unban Field of the Dead?
Well, to be fair, I would say that Valakut is a lot easier to interact with when it comes to these decks, because if I just kill the Dryad of the Elysian Grove or something like that, like that is part of the mountain combo, because they don't actually have any mountains.
You could go back to the old days where people played mountains with Valakut. Remember when we used to do that?
Okay, that's yeah, but let's be real. Like why?
It was also
A quaint
it was
time.
also played in control decks too, though. Like even outside of
Yep.
the like turbo plan, there were definitely like Renin 6, Teferis, Omnath Uros, and just a pile of like interaction encounters. And then you're just like, eventually you're gonna get to Field of the Dead, and eventually that's gonna like take over the game after you do all your control stuff. So I don't know. I feel like it's not a very fun card. Like it's so inevitable and it's so easy. The cost is so low that I wouldn't want to have to deal with
There's this
it.
card called Blood Moon, which should do something against
Okay.
this.
Okay, yeah, sure, Blood Moon.
Yeah, maybe
You know-
85
you know-
years ago.
Yeah, like I don't know if Blood Moon does it anymore when Beseiju Who Endures literally exists.
All right, so we're,
know,
we're
they
not
don't- they
on
don't
Team
even-
Field of the Dead. No,
No,
no zombie token special on the merch shop. Huh?
No, God, no.
I mean, you can still buy the zombie token. Invasion to Innistrad, you need 2/2 zombies for that. Maybe we just try to make that card good to sell some zombie tokens, yeah. All right, let's move on to an easy one. Gitaxian Probe. I mean, is there even any reason to discuss the merits of unbanning Gitaxian Probe in Modern? Like, I would say Modern would be better with no free spells. Maybe at least no free spells that can further your game plan. The defensive ones, like Force of Negation, I can kind of see the value of those. But free spells that up your storm count, trigger prowess, I think they just make the format worse. Like, I would be more likely to advocate for banning Manamorphose than unbanning Gitaxian Probe, and Gitaxian Probe is like way better than Manamorphose. It's like it does it on turn 1 instead of turn 2, so I don't see an argument for it. Can you imagine Murktide? Yeah, but Murktide, free spells in the graveyard.
I mean, you get free DRC triggers, you get free Ledger Shredder triggers, stuff like that. Free Monastery Swift Spear triggers.
Mishra's Bauble is a staple. And that lets you see a single card, and you have to wait a turn to draw the card.
Well,
like
that
it's like
turns
the
on
worst.
Delirium. That's slightly,
like the worst.
slightly different.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Although this turns on Delirium, it's a sorcery in your graveyard. I mean, in a world where like Murktide is the best deck in the format, I don't even want to think about this one. Like, I don't think there's any chance that this could be unbanned.
I don't see why it should be either, right? This is another thing that just should stay banned. I played with it myself, and my God, I still remember playing this with Monastery Swift Sphere in that blue-red Prowess deck or Delver deck, and just doing this mutagenic growth, all these free spells, and then treasure cruising. Woo!
Disgusting.
That was nasty.
What about Get Probe, Snapcaster, Get Probe, guys?
Oh.
Okay, Richard, I think you're. You know what? You
People
are
used to
playing
do
it
that.
very fairly.
People used to do that, and it was like a solid line.
Richard's out here advocating for that and just actually playing mountains with Valakut.
Yeah, Richard
Richard's
figured
speaking nonsense.
He evaluates Modern in the context of 2011 standard. That's how Richard thinks about.
Yeah.
Yo, I like to remember the good times. Okay, I'm a positive thinker.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah, no need for Get Probe to come back ever.
Let's move on to one I think is actually kind of interesting and worth discussing, which is Glimpse of Nature. Glimpse of Nature, it has always been banned in Modern. It was one of those, like, this was busted and extended, so we're not even going to give it a chance. On the initial ban list when they created the format, it's just 1 mana when you play a creature spell this turn, you get to draw a card. It's known as like a elf ball combo piece, essentially. To me, I think this is one of the safest cards to unban. Like, none of the decks that are scary with this card, like Elf Ball, are actually, like, good in Modern. There's an absurd amount of good removal that can sweep, like, Furies and whatever. They can just sweep away Elves. So I actually think it could be a positive to unban Glimpse of Nature. But what do you think? I know it's, like, a really good legacy card. It was good and extended 15 years ago. Is it scarier than I'm giving it credit for?
Look, this is one of those things where if it's not good now, this is for the future. Right? Like, tell me that for 1 mana, this is just too, it doesn't cost, it's too cheap of a cost. So if it can't be broken now, you know it's going to be broken within, you know what? Let's just say if it were legal, right? I would love to check back on this in a year. If it were legal, and just the sets that come out from this year, I bet you that if it isn't broken now, it'll be broken within the year. Like, there will be something that does something silly in Modern.
It's only broken
by
in
this
elves.
year.
It's always just like in the formats.
Are you sure?
Legal, you don't play it and like play a value Thrun or something, right? You play it with Metal Sentinel and you play it with Archdruid. Are any of these legal in Modern? Like, how close are we to essentially going infinite, right? Because you want to cast a spell, untap Nettle Sentinel, use it to cast another spell. Nettle Sentinel's legal, right?
Yeah, Nettle Sentinel's there. Those pieces do exist. I mean, Elves is like the definition of tier 3.
So you have the
best,
deck,
but...
and we make that deck better. Is that scary?
Okay,
so it's still Elves. You can still Fatal Push the Dork and like you're good to go, right?
Oh, still Fury.
Oh yeah, just Fatal Push the Dork. Yeah, I mean, that's it.
We have multiple. We have multiple 2-mana versions of this. Like, Rite of Harmony is this with upside for 2 mana. There's Beck Call, which is this for 2 mana with upside of Fuse or whatever. Like, so we know that 2 mana versions are not good enough. Those cards are just, like, stone unplayable. No one's Rite of Harmony elf balling. That makes me think that trying the 1 mana version would be fine.
Crim, tell me with a straight face, with Glimpse unbanned, you'd still play Elves in the face of Ren and 6.
I mean,
like draw all the cards you want. They're all dying to Ren and 6.
Yeah.
It's not Ren and 6 that I'm sweating. It's Fury that I'm sweating.
Fury. Oh, Fury is.
Game over.
Ren and 6, whatever. Lose an elf. Every elf player knows, like, okay, you're gonna lose it 1 or 2 elves. Fury, you just clean get swept. Like, oh my
lord. You pop off with Glimpse and they're like 1 Fury does all your work. Oh, cool, bro.
Yeah. Cool Fury, dude.
I think I agree with Seth. I don't think Glimpse is that scary. Like, would Elves become tier 1, and not only tier 1, like, overwhelm the metagame? No, if it just becomes a good deck, that's not bad, right? It has to, like, actually be dominant and, like, oppressive to the metagame, which I don't see it.
I don't think it's Elves that we should be worried about.
What are we worried about?
Like, that's the...
Golgari, Sultai Rogues. Like, what are we doing, Chris?
Dude, there ain't no way that this does. I'm just saying, like, it may not be broken now, but like, this is just one of those cards where it's safer to leave on the ban list, right? Like is that weird? Like, I feel like it's just a safer bet.
It's only Elves.
I feel like this card is like. I just don't know if it's broken anymore. I tend to think this is one of those cards that people like have a healthy fear of because they remember what it did like 15 years ago. But I don't think it can do those things today. Like, I definitely, it's hard for me to construct a better deck than Elves for this. Like, I guess you'd play some Affinity and like Ornithopter, Memnite, Frogmite, like, but sure, is that actually better than Elves? Or like, I don't know. I think that Elves is like the optimal version of it, and Elves is bad enough that I would say they actually could use the help. Like, I would say the upside would be maybe Elves is like a legit tier 2 deck that you can play again. which would probably be a good thing. Like, it would be kind of nice if elves were, like, not horrible in Modern, I think. Anyway.
They are pretty bad. They are pretty bad. But
so what's the final verdict then? I'm thumbs up. I'm give it a shot. Worst case, like, what's the worst case? Worst case, it's broken. You ban it again. But this is one I think should be unbanned. But where are you guys
worst
at?
case is you gotta play more Furies. Like I don't see how.
Oh
bad this
yeah,
could
yeah.
get. I mean,
Finally, we can play more Furies.
maybe the affinity deck Seth is talking about is kind of scary because you're casting free spells that are not like X ones, so like they can't be cleaned up with Fury.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. That would be interesting to try at least. Yeah.
Is it good though? I mean, they already draw a million cards with like their thought monitors and whatever, and they're still like whatever, right? Like, does the Glimpse really put it over the top?
Yeah, I don't know if would they even play Glimpse? I don't even know if you would.
Oh,
they
they have like 50
advantage
cards
already.
in hand, and I don't know what's going on, but they still can't win, right? So
Yeah.
The year is 2023, and now we're worried about Affinity. like. I'm sorry, Affinity hasn't been good for so long that I just don't care about what Affinity's doing. Which this could change my mind. Maybe Richard's right.
Okay, next up, Green Sun Zenith. Green Sun Zenith adds a lot of consistency to decks. I think the big argument for banning it back in the day was it can get a Dryad Arbor on turn 1, so you start with the floor of like, it's a mana dork, but then it also can be a toolbox piece that gets your whatever, your Endurance for Graveyard, it gets your Primeval Titan eventually to finish the game, or Crater Hoof or whatever. What do you think about this one? Like, is even the turn 1 Dryad Arbor thing, is that even like that much of a concern anymore? Like, I guess it's okay, but, like, it's not really much different than playing a Birds of Paradise or a Ignoble Hierarch or something.
Well, it's a Birds of Paradise that turns into your green combo piece, essentially.
You get the flexibility, yeah.
Are we worried about green combo decks?
Well, I always come back to this, but Primeval Titan worries me. Like, this gets, like, the Primeval Titan, the Dryad of the Ilsen Grove, a random Ram thing like Steve. So would it add too much consistency to, like, the Amulet decks? In my, like, head, I see this really sweet world where people are like, oh, I'm, like, getting my Knight of Autumn to blow up an artifact, and I get my Scavenging Goose, and get my Graveyard Hate, and it's, like, really super fun and fair and toolboxy, but I'm afraid that in practice, it's just like, oh, I get Omnath every time, oh, I get Primeval Titan every time, and I'm like, oh my god, not this again.
Yeah, again, just another card that I see no reason to make ourselves miserable over. Right? Like, this is just another one of those things where potentially, you know, the Dryad play isn't exactly the fear anymore. That's not the fear. But there is much worse.
And creatures keep getting better. Like, that's one thing we've seen. Like, there's a lot of creature power creep, and as creatures power creep, Green Sun Zenith power creeps alongside them, because it gets creatures. So I'm kind of on the, like, I could see a world where you, like, ban Primeval Titan, maybe ban Dryad Arbor, and then unbanned it. But even then, like, I don't know if it would be worth the risk, because I feel like it's a card that would end up being broken sooner or later. Almost your argument for Glimpse. I feel like, for me, like, I feel the same way about Green Sun Zenith. Like, it would end up being broken at some point, I think.
Yeah, I think just having Primeval Titans 5 to 8 is argument enough. Like, you don't need to worry about any other card, right? Like, that's good enough. That should remain banned, I think.
Ooh, all right. Time for a hot take. Next on our list, we have Hypergenesis.
Oh, no.
Hypergenesis. It's the suspend version of Eureka. You suspend it for 3, and then each player gets to dump their hand of permanents, essentially. I actually think that this card probably could be unbanned. Like, hear me out, because I know people think that sounds crazy. Is it really any different than Living End or Crashing Footfalls or any other Restore Balance? Like, there's so many modern decks that are like, I'm going to build my deck in a way that I cascade into one of these suspend spells. That suspend spell is going to win me the game. is this any worse than any of the other options? Like, to me, it's the same. Like, yes, you do your thing. You cast your Cascade spell, I lose. Does it really matter if you're putting a Trox into play from your hand or putting, 40 power into play from your graveyard or whatever? Like, it's all the same, right? Isn't it all the same?
A 4/4 Rhino
No.
is not the same as dumping some Archon of Cruelties or whatever.
2
Like,
4/4 rhinos, just so it's clear, yes.
We're just talking about creatures getting better, right?
like you could graveyard hate Living End to keep it manageable. This thing is just coming in.
But you get to put
like,
your
what do
stuff
you-
into play too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. So you put your Glimpse of Nature Nettle Sentinel in, and then they're like, okay, Furies all over the place. This is broken, Seth. This is way too broken, no?
Like, do you think it's like a huge step above like Living End in those decks then? Like, is this like
Wouldn't you stop playing
the
Living
best
End to play
version of them?
Hypergenesis if like you were a Cascade player?
Yeah,
or somehow Living
right?
End like more consistent, maybe.
I mean, you get all the cyclers, so you do get so you do have to play a lot of clunky cards. For Hypergenesis to really win, you do need to be playing like the Emeralds and Atroxes, these top-end threats. I guess Living End is also similar to that, where you're playing a lot of cards that you don't really want to be hard casting, but they do cycle, so you can churn through your deck more. I would say it's probably better than Living End, because you don't have the weakness to Graveyard Hate. Like, what is the hate card for this? Is there even a hate card that's like permanents can't come into play from players' hands or something? I don't think there is something that specifically hates on Hypergenesis. It'd be like the Chalice of the Voids and so forth. Teferi's, the same stuff that just hates on, in general, the Cascade into a free spell plan.
Brazen Ball.
Yeah.
Bounce.
I mean, I don't
Unmoored Ego.
I guess I
Name
don't.
the combo.
I don't like the power of the Cascade decks anyway. I feel like they're so consistent that I guess the argument for not unbanning it would be that there would just be more Cascade decks in the format, which I think would be a negative for the format. But
Like,
on the
there's
other
a
hand,
world
like,
where you
I don't
beat
really
Cascade
care.
decks fairly when they pop off. If this thing pops off, I cannot see you actually fighting through this. Like, you can fight through 4/4 Rhinos. You can even fight through, like, Living End, bringing back, like, 4 creatures. But, like, Hypergenesis pops off, you're pretty much done for, and you don't have, like, the auto win cards in the same way as you do with the other decks. So, I don't know. This is scary.
yeah,
What
all
does
right.
that even mean to like fairly beat these decks? I don't even know.
I mean, I guess
you
like
just
in
play
theory,
1-for-1 removal and run them out, or you play like a 5/6 Goyf. The 4/4 Rhinos can't get through. They got to do it again. They got to go wide, and then you Maelstrom Pulse them. Crimp. Have you ever done that?
Oh no! Actually, you're right. Actually, I haven't factored in. That sounds so fair. This is the fairest modern format I've ever heard in my life.
I played a Modern Goyf deck this week. It's going to be going up on the YouTube in a few days. The video's not up yet. And I always thought you kind of exaggerated the demise of Goyf a little bit. And you were like being a little hyperbolic. And I had this like super good Jund draw where it was like Thoughtseize, Lightning Bolt, double Tarmogoyf. I was like, oh man, we got him. And I like Thoughtseize him and take the removal and play the Goyfs. And then they played like in Urza Saga and made 2 7/7s with a land. I was like, oh my god, Richard was right the whole time.
Wait till you see the flying Tarmogoyf, Seth. Wait till you see that one. That one will get you too.
The flying Tarmogoyf? What is the flying Tarmogoyf?
Murktide.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a 2-mana 8/8 flyer or whatever, right?
All right, let's move on to next on our list. This one I think should be an easy one. KCI, Krark-clan Ironworks, infamous eggs combo piece, 30-minute turns. Like, I don't even care if it's good. I just don't want to play against it. I don't know. Is there any redeeming qualities for KCI that would even make us consider taking it off the ban list?
no.
Yeah.
What is the KCI deck? What is?
So it was like the egg, like you play all the eggs and sack the eggs, and then you second sunrise them back, and then you sack them all again, and you have a 30-minute turn and win with some loop with Conjurer's Bauble or some like. So it was kind of the Kibler F6 meme when he did that in real life. Like that's typically how KCI was played in decks like that. It's just so not fun to play. make your combos deterministic. Just kill me. Like, let me know that I'm actually dead when you're comboing off and I will scoop to you. But KCI does not have the courtesy to actually let you know that you're dead. So you have to sit there and, it's the worst.
Isn't it fun to have this complex puzzle to work your way through and not know if you're going to win or not?
I'm sure it's a blast to play, but there's another person
for somebody.
It is like so solitary.
I mean, if they're starting to do things with KCI, you just scoop, right? They probably have it.
Yeah, it's like 99% or something. So yeah, it's probably worth it. But yeah, I don't think we want KCI freed. What about?
I think this is the Crim argument of like it will be broken eventually, if not broken immediately.
Yeah.
No, if it isn't already going to be broken, yeah.
I mean, it does cost 4 mana to get going, but once it's on the battlefield, it's one of the most powerful like ramp spells or fast mana spells that exists in the right deck. So, what about?
I do not miss this card in the format at all. Having played Matt Nass on this at Grand Prix LA, which by the way was my only, or not LA, in Portland. This was my only loss. And it was to Matt Nass. So I think I went X and 1 in GP Portland day 1 with Esper Control. And I remember this. And despite having all the hate that I could have, it literally took more out of the sideboard. It felt like back when like you would play against like Skullclamp decks and stuff like that. And the old Affinity deck back in Standard. You main decked artifact hate, and then you still sideboarded in more artifact hate, and you hoped that it worked.
Yeah. No one has fun playing against KCI decks. Okay. Another easy one. Lurrus of the Dream Dead, the most powerful card that has ever been printed.
Is it easy? We have so many new cards that are expensive and powerful. Do you think we go back to a Lurrus world?
No, Richard, no.
I actually think this is up for debate. No?
Oh,
really?
Wait, no, like not trolling, right? Like genuinely, right?
So you can't play Solitudes, right?
That's true. You can't play Solitudes.
You can't play the Elementals.
Yeah, like that's a big deal, right? That's an actual trade-off that you're about to make.
You can't play the Elementals. All the free spells are fine, but Elementals you can't. Because it's permanence, right? Permanence 2 or greater, greater than 2.
You gotta remember though, this was banned March 8th, 2022, so a year ago. So it was coexisting for more than a year with Furies and Solitudes and all those things when it was banned. It's not like those cards came out after Lurrus was banned. Like, it's only been a year since the Cant went on the ban list, so I hate Lurrus. I absolutely hate this card.
I don't think. Yeah, well, actually, you know what deck could still play it though, and would love it? Mill.
Hammer Time. Hammer Time.
Hammer. Oh yeah, Hammer Time would love this.
Hammer Time would get it for sure. And I mean, last time didn't we see that Lurrus like burn? It's powerful enough that decks will warp themselves to take advantage of it. And yes, it's true. We got a lot of powerful, expensive permanents. But we also got a lot of powerful cheap permanents, Ledger Shredders, DRCs, Ragavans, like all those cards also exist in, came from Modern Horizons too. So I am the hardest of no's on this card. Like it's just too good. It's just too good and too consistent and too companion-y. Convince me, Richard. Give me your best
I think
pitch.
you're right. But it's interesting though to see what decks would pop up on this iteration of Modern, because it's quite different now. But I do think you're right that it's still inevitable and it's still too strong. But I think we would look different than we did before when this comes back.
I think it would. I think that's true. I think we would see different archetypes emerge from it. But I think that Lurrus would still be just
is it any
over
worse
the top.
if everyone plays Lurrus instead of everyone playing Solitude? Probably. Because it removes like half the card pool from contention.
It's gotta at least be.
Yeah, poor.
Okay, wait. Are we talking about pre-nerf Lurrus or post-nerf Lurrus? Where the companion is free or costs 3 mana?
I think it costs 3 mana. Like, it's pre-nerf. It was literally better than Black Lotus, right? Wasn't that literally the best card that had ever been printed when it pre-nerf like Lurrus?
Yeah. Like I don't know. I don't see. pre-nerf Lurrus, it was insane, right? But like,
okay, wait, now I'm curious. Oko or pre-nerf Lurrus?
Oh, Lurrus. Like, because it starts in your hand every game. Like, maybe Oko's more
You
powerful.
don't need to draw cards. You have Oko. Like,
Yeah, but you might not draw your Oko. Like, what happens if you don't
Right.
draw it? That's never a problem with Lurrus, especially pre-nerf. Like, you don't even have to spend any mana.
Lurrus is always there.
It's just always there.
The tax still, it's still like once it got nerfed, it was still getting played a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
so I don't. Yeah, no, there's no reason when it's always there. You know what I mean? Like it's just
I can't
Companions.
believe it's
Oh.
like a 3/2 with lifelink on top of all.
Yeah.
Like, why
Oh,
does
yeah,
it
it's
have
got
so
good
much
stats.
random text on it. They were really afraid no one would play this.
Yeah, they really made sure people would play companions. That is for sure. Yeah,
All right,
we
no
should,
Lurrus.
ban
You
that
convinced
one.
me. It's not worth the thought experiment.
Oh, do you
try
guys
it for a week.
Did we talk about Metal Misstep last time? Was that one of the ones that was lumped in with like other Phyrexian mana cards?
I don't know. But
For
we
some
should
reason,
never
I
play this
feel
card.
like we talked about it, but like just so it's clear, Metal Misstep should not be unbanned. Everyone has
Yeah.
to play it, so it just kind of
It
cuts
makes your
4
deck
slots out of
56
people's
cards.
decks. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I know we talked about Mox Opal because we talked about all the fast mana. So let's move on to Mycosynth Lattice, which is actually a super
is this banned?
interesting. So this was banned a couple of years ago because of its interaction with Karn the Great Creator. Where
Yeah,
you'd play one Lattice in your sideboard, and then you'd Karn board it out and play it, and then you just hard lock your opponent out of activating their lands or doing anything. So they banned it because of Karn. I think it can't be legal with Karn. Like, Karn is already really good in still very good in Modern, and with the ability to just accidentally lock your opponent out of the game, it was too good. Although I would argue, I think Karn should be
Yeah,
banned.
shouldn't you just
Like,
ban the Karn
my preferred
instead of the
world is
Lattice?
like ban Karn and leave Lattice legal. Wizards isn't going to go for that and ban like a Chase Planeswalker, I guess, but I think that would be a better way to handle it personally.
I like Karn, so I like, and
Ooh.
I'm biased because I definitely played Karn Lattice Lock out of Esper Control. Like, that was the greatest place to be. I swear by it. It was
if
so
that's
much
not a reason
fun.
to ban this card, you can take any jank tier 3 archetype, add this card, and it's a tier 1 deck.
It was
I put it in my
so
Jund
good.
deck and I started winning. I'm like, that's gonna go.
Dude, I fairly casted Lattice Lock. Like, I wasn't accelerating. I just played Karn and then I got it and I counterspelled until turn 6.
That sounds like something you would do, Krim. Yes, it does. I mean, it was pretty miserable, though. Just like whenever you saw the Karn come down, you knew that like if you can't interact with it in like one turn, essentially, you're just going to get hard locked out of the game. So I think it made Karn like a 1-card combo, essentially, because the other piece is just in your sideboard and can tutor it up. So yeah, I don't think we can have that.
I don't know. I don't think this is that bad. I really don't think it's that bad when it comes to what Modern is. Like, in Modern, like this all of that seems, it's powerful. It's obviously very good. But like, is it better than what's going on now?
I mean, so I think that my argument would be like, Karn already sees play, even with Lattice banned. So it's not so much that like it would be too I mean, I guess it would be too powerful. But like the problem is, all the decks that already play Karn, Eldrazi Tron, Coffers, Blue Tron, Prison Tron, Gruul, Amulet Titan, Lantern, Green Devotion, like they all just get to lose one sideboard slot and also accidentally have this lock. Like, so I think it just like immediately slots into so many already good decks and makes those decks better. Although I guess like maybe Tron needs some love at this point. Like maybe Tron's so bad we need to power it up. But
I never thought it'd be the year where you and I are advocating for a little bit of help for Tron, because I hate that deck.
No, Lattice, that's not the way you help.
No.
You help it by making everyone hate the deck even more. Like, no
Good,
Lattice.
good.
they really just need one more Tron land. We need a 4th Tron land. That'll
Wait,
solve all the issues.
Do you have to
Urza's-
have it on the
Urza's
battlefield to
Funhouse.
assemble Tron?
Yeah, I guess maybe that would actually make it worse. You need like a bonus Tron land that fills in for any missing piece or something. But anyway,
Why?
Speaking of lands, Richard, I know you used to like this card. I'm curious what you think about it. Mystic Sanctuary. Actually banned on the same BNR as Field of the Dead in Uro a couple of years ago. What do you think about this one, Richard?
A BS card they never should have printed. Why can you fetch it? Because you can fetch it. It's so dumb.
Nah.
It should remain banned.
It's a land type thing.
It makes all your lands into like a free spell, essentially. So no, I don't like this. Although
wait, the cryptic lock was sick. What?
It was,
is one of the best decks.
Sick.
Like they will definitely play this. So
I mean, yeah, but the cryptic lock was so sick, dude.
The cryptic lock was sick for like the first couple of times, but then after a while it got a little groany, like, oh god, this again.
You can still do the cryptic
oh,
lock
did
with
it?
the Snapcaster
I thought. No. You know Snapcaster's nowhere near what I'm talking about. The cryptic lock was so sick, man. Oh, I love that deck. Or that lock. I don't know.
The problem is like they don't have to draw the sanctuary. They just got to get a fetch land and then they got you. Like that was like the worst part of it, right? Like any top deck.
Was that the worst part? That's a feature, not a bug, Richard. That's a feature.
I don't want this feature, Krim. Get me out of here.
It really just should not have had the land type. Like, Mystic Sanctuary that wasn't fetchable would probably be, like, a fine card for Modern. It would still be powerful, I think, but much less busted. But the land type thing just really puts it too far over the top. Speaking of over the top, Oko Thief of Crowns. We were talking about Lurrus being the best card of all time. Oko's
not even
on
joking.
the short list. Really, unban it.
Unban it.
Really?
Unban it. You know what? Like...
Does he really matter? Probably does.
It doesn't even seem
but you
as
go over
miserable.
the top of him still, right?
Yes, but like, yeah, like I don't know, like it doesn't even seem that bad, right? Like in the world of like whatever creatures, it's good to fight it, right? Fury's already getting played, and this lives past Fury, so it lives past.
It does survive Fury.
I mean, it's just like it's like another Omnath. Like Omnath is inevitable. You cannot win with a fair deck against Omnath, and Oko is just another one of those.
Oh, I guess
like the
this
unfair
would go
decks
in
just
that
go like
deck?
whatever. I don't care about Oko, but every fair deck is like I cannot beat this card. It's like 3 mana. It's like too much value.
And like, creativity's become a real thing. Wouldn't this be absurd with like making food tokens that you sack to creativity and like, I feel like it would be pretty. I think it would still be pretty over the top. It has been 3 years almost since it was banned, but I can't come around to the idea that Oko's not a problem.
I mean,
at
okay,
this
so
point.
Oko is like banned in like literally almost every format. So I think,
yeah, well, okay, in Vintage, where like I can definitely get to this, or like Legacy get to this like pretty early, right? And then there's so many artifacts running around. Here, like, what do I care?
I mean,
because did you forget like everything becomes an elk and then you can't kill Oko because you only have elks.
So
Krim doesn't have creatures anyway. No creatures, nothing to elk. He's fine.
Yeah, like legitimately, that's how. Like I played with it when it was at its
Oko
peak.
in under you, and they just keep making food and elks for the rest of your life, and you spend like 8 cards trying to clean it up. Krim, is that a fair card?
Yum. I don't. Where's the problem? I'm sorry, I haven't heard anything bad in the last couple of minutes. That sounds like a good time.
It's a green card. How about that, Krim?
No, it is.
I
green.
mean. Look, to give you a good indicator of how good this was, I played it, right? Like, I added green. I added green. Like, I took green, I added it, and I'm like, oh, it felt dirty. But you know what? I guess when I think of Modern, I think of the Wild Wild West. And I'm just like, so, what, how is this any worse than what already goes on in Modern? Like, Modern already is the big sad. Who cares if it's just any more sad?
No. I
don't know about that.
This is kind of like Lurrus. It like just erases a whole swath of decks, i.e. like mid-range decks. Like you can't play them anymore because of Oko.
Yeah,
and I know I said that for Jace the Mind Sculptor, but Oko's 3 mana. Okay, Oko's much more castable.
And we just kind of recently saw Oko. Like, it wasn't that long ago that it was dominating formats. Like, remember how upset people were about that card? Like, just how dominant it was? So, I don't think you could sell, even if it was correct to unban, I don't think you're going to sell the community on, oh, that's just like free Oko. I don't think anyone's going to buy into that. Speaking of...
Dude.
Oh, go ahead, Grim.
No. It's fine. And I guarantee you, by 2024, Oko will have we'll look back and Oko will have just been a powerful card, another powerful card in Modern.
I could buy that argument. I could see in like 1 or 2 Horizon sets we power creep so hard that Oko's actually fine again.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there is a world where we get to that, but I don't think we're in that world yet. Give it a couple more Horizon sets, and then we can talk.
Give it a year. Give it a year. I think a lot is about to happen this year. So,
all right. What about, speaking of Eldraine cards? Once upon a time, just some free card selection.
No.
Yeah.
So
right there. Right there.
It's like,
what did you say?
Free.
You
cast, it's free, and you dig 5 deep for
5 deep for
anything. Right?
5 deep for a creature or land card.
Oh, creature or land.
Creature, land, 5 deep. If it's your first spell of the game, it's free. Otherwise, it costs 2 mana.
It's any land,
also
right?
an
Not
instant.
Basic?
Any land, yep.
Oh, yeah, that's gross. You just
Seth
dig for
said
your
the
Boseiju.
magical word. Yeah, exactly. You dig up a Boseiju, like, you said the magical word, which is free. That's it.
Yeah.
Once you say free...
Cross it off the list.
I mean, it has
like,
to be your first
why-
spell, though.
why
There
more?
is a downside. And then it's
Oh,
like 2
come
mana
on.
or something ridiculous. It's actually not that ridiculous, but like you
down.
don't want to
2
pay
mana,
2
yeah.
mana for it.
I think
2 mana? Oh, man.
I wish it cost more, because 2 mana is like not that bad. If
Yeah.
it was like actively too expensive, if you had to cast it, at least there'd be some risk. But this is another card that was like a super staple in Primeval Titan decks. Amulet Titan was one of its biggest homes, just like digging for your lands, digging for your Titans. So I feel like, I don't know, that's another deck I really don't want to power up even more.
Why?
So
Why does this whole ban list, after talking about it, just seems like if we unban any of it, Amulet Titan becomes tier 0.
Yeah.
It's just like, Amulet Titan, I wonder if there was maybe something you could ban from that isn't just all the supporting pieces.
yeah, just ban the Primeval Titan, be done with it.
I wonder, right? What a concept.
Okay, this one's actually good conversation. We got 2 cards together. Ponder, Preordain. Iconic cantrips. They've been banned since the very early days of the format. I think the first ban list after the first Pro Tour, they were banned because of Storm decks in specific. We've gotten Consider since then. We've gotten Opt in the format. I kind of feel like we could free one of these. I think, which is the worst of these? Preordain, right, is like the least powerful of the 2, I would say. I would be okay with... I mean, I guess you still have the is it problem, like the context of Murktide being the best deck in the format, but let's pretend that wasn't an issue for a moment, and is it wasn't the best deck in the format. These are of an okay power level, right? One of them, maybe. Probably not both at once, might be too much, but...
Who cares?
But both
Just
of them.
free them both.
Yeah.
Who cares? Let
Okay.
them run wild.
They don't dump
Hulkamania
cards into the
style.
graveyard. Okay, they're just card selection. And we were really
true.
afraid of like Storm being too consistent.
Yeah.
like whatever,
So much
right?
of the ban list, yeah, is
Like
dedicated to
if
powering
you
down
put cards in the
Storm.
graveyard, I'd be more concerned. But this is just like your deck gets more consistent. Your deck's already pretty consistent. I don't know that this matters much. This might actually free up Storm though to do something useful. So I am not actually too
At this
afraid
point,
of this.
At this point, that might be a positive too. Like at this point, maybe Storm getting
God.
a little bump. Like I can't believe I'm saying like, oh, maybe
Yeah.
Tron needs to get better. Maybe Storm needs to get better. But like, they're just not very good anymore. Also, like expressive iteration's a joke. Like these cards are just bad expressive iteration anyway, right? like
Yeah,
and
like
then-
we had expressive iteration, and that was like better than any of these cards. So I think Preordain, yeah. I think
Yeah.
Preordain, that should have been unbanned a long time ago, right? But Ponder, I don't
I
don't know.
Baby steps. Free the Preordain. Make sure nothing crazy
Okay.
that we're not expecting
Okay.
happens. And then like a year from now, 2 years, if Preordain's not a big issue, then maybe we can talk about Ponder. That's probably how I would handle it. Is like
Yeah.
start with one, let's feel it out, and then maybe we get to Ponder it in the future.
Crib,
Maybe.
does anyone play
Yeah,
Serum Visions anymore?
Oh, I forgot that card existed.
Like there was a time where people played Serum Visions, and that's where you would play Preordain. But given that no one plays Serum Visions, like
Serum Visions. Remember when that was an F&M promo?
Oh my!
Modern?
Oh my! I remember the art on the F&M promo. One of the all-time.
Sure do.
Oh my goodness! No one ever forgets that art. Yeah.
That was an art to be mentioned of all time. Yeah, for sure.
All right, how about Punishing Fire next on our list? Punishing Fire, they had to ban this because it would maybe keep small creature decks out of the meta. I think was their poor merfolk. They'll never get to stick a lord if you have a repeatable 2-mana shock. Is this actually a concern?
No. Right? Like, why? Like, so you play Grove of the Burn Willows, you do this over and over. Like, sure, that's absurdly fair in 2023.
It's three mana to shock when you got to pay 1 to get it back to your hand, 2 to cast it, and you got to draw the Grove of the Burn Willows. Like, if a repeatable 3 mana shock is a problem in Modern, like, I don't even know what this format's about anymore. Like, it's funny, like, to even think about 3 mana to shock.
I thought you wanted elves to flourish, Seth. They will never flourish. Punishing Fire exists.
Oh, okay. I get. Well, actually, no. They would still flourish and just do just fine. Actually,
I think it's too little damage. Like, so this used to be a thing. You would Punishing Fire Grove, and of course, like the unfair decks, like don't care about this whatsoever, and just go on top of you. But you would push out all the fair decks, which is why it was banned. But it's so slow. It does so little damage. Fury and Ren and 6. Do its job already. So like I don't know, like does this make it worse? Like no, I don't think I would cut any of those cards or even add this to my deck. I would just play more of those cards. So I'm not even sure you would would you even put this in a Jund deck? I don't think I would actually. What would this even do?
No, God, no.
And if you don't put it in Jund, where are you putting it? Like that's literally the only place that you would put this combo, right? Maybe lands. If you have a lands deck, you could do this, but I don't know. That doesn't really.
Does it
exist.
break? Is this another win condition for Amulet Titan? Because they could play Grove of the Burn Willows.
Does it break Primeval Titan? Yeah, that's.
I mean, yeah, it could.
Do you think, like Amulet Titan? Do you think it'd finally take off? Like,
I mean, I don't even.
Monkey.
I don't even think it sees play in Legacy for the most part anymore. Like there used to be Legacy versions, but like the lands deck in Legacy would play it or whatever. I don't even think it really sees at least much play there like it used to. So I would assume it's just not a problem anymore, but I don't know.
Keep up
this
with Field of the Dead with your Punishing Fires.
Yeah, that's a lot of mana. That's a lot of mana.
Again, if this made Amulet Titan take off, I would laugh hysterically. So there's no reason to have this big.
All right, next up, this one should be quick and easy. Second Sunrise. We basically already talked about it with KCI. Like it's part of these loopy, non-deterministic combo decks that no one actually wants to exist. Next, though, after that, I want Crim's opinion on this one. Sensei's Divining Top. Crim.
So. Look. So technically, counterbalance is legal, right?
It is.
So I think like okay, I counter outside of the whole time constraints thing, right? I think this is fine. I think Miracles would be sweet in Modern. If this got unbanned, I would legitimately I would play a lot of Modern again. Like, I mean a lot of it, to the levels of joy that I'm talking, like, way back, right? Because there's no real, like control deck.
It's not
the four color nonsense stuff. Is it good? Is it good? I don't think it is.
Because you Boseiju straight through this, right? Like,
right.
Right. And plus, like, in Modern, your threats are all over the place. Like, if you're trying to cast a Murktide, like, good luck.
Right.
You're trying to counterbalance that, or like a Solitude. So I think it's fairly safe.
Murktide is
and
what,
it comes down to
6 or 8. It's 8. It's 8, right?
Yeah.
Isn't the problem though not
the time.
power level, but just like how much it slows down events, and events go to time, and like the whole tournament takes forever.
The
like
Omnath already goes to time, so what does it matter?
Yeah. Like I'm not even joking. I remember back when I was a judge. That's right. You wouldn't believe that. I was judging a legacy event, and there were a ton of miracle decks. And I remember the worst thing that could happen was a Miracle's Mirror. So like that was by far one of the most hilarious and miserable things ever. But I think I would be oddly okay with that, because just Modern and how good it is and how efficient everything is, I just don't see how a counterbalance Miracles deck could even get remotely close to winning. I think this is one of those Jace unbanning the sky is falling moments if it were to be unbanned. Like, top being unbanned, slowing down the game, I doubt it slows it down by much, because I think you're just gonna die to Amulet Titan.
You just know, oh my god, but you remember those turns, Krim, those turns, like, you're right, it's gonna be bad, like, it's not gonna be good, but it's like, oh, spin my top, look at my cards for 2 minutes, stack them back, crack a fetch land, spin my top, look at my new cards for another 5 minutes, oh, you cast a lightning bolt, I might need to change my order, let's spin the top again, rearrange the, like, that's what every turn of every game is when there's a top involved, isn't it? Like,
you
but
should get a
isn't it
slow
nice
play
to know
warning if
that
you top and like it's like the same 3 on top and you didn't rearrange them. And like after 2 slow play warnings, you're ejected from the tournament. Like, they need to make sure you're proficient with this card before you bring it. Like you gotta take a little test. You go to the judge and the judge is like, I'll give you 3 scenarios. You top in them and tell me how fast you can do it before you're allowed to top in the presence of other players.
Top test. I like that. I like if we have a test that you have to take first to prove your proficiency at spinning top, then that could probably be fine.
As somebody who's gone 1-0-3, I totally I don't see the problem. I'm just saying, like,
Krim did it wrong. His strategy should be 3-0, but all his matches go like 1-0.
Yeah. Well, you see, I as I said though, I was undefeated. I never lost a game, and that would be a fact. But isn't it nice to know that you could counterbalance and shut off all the annoying cascade stuff, or get free counter spells on the cascade stuff and the split second stuff, right? Like, I don't have to use a counter spell to like deal with any cascade spells. I could just, and then being able to stop cascade, yada yada yada. Like, there's a lot. I don't even know what. Like, is there anything that Miracles just outright destroys? Like, maybe the Living End player, sure, right? Like, but from a power level standpoint, like, it doesn't do anything. It just slows the game down, but it doesn't even slow it down that much. Because
you just literally said it does nothing but slows the game down, Krim. Why would you?
Yeah, but like, why does it gives Miracles a chance to like exist, and I think that's cool. I think that's
just make control players find a new deck besides playing this like old archetype that hasn't had support for like literally a decade or something.
I think it'd be sick, dude. I think it'd be sick. I'm biased as hell, but like, I want pure control. I don't want like, whatever 4-color mid-range pile control is, right? Like I want to do so little and total. I want to win with Esper Charm again. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Maybe that's the problem.
I would probably like a deck like that existing. I think I would be fine with the deck existing. I'd probably even be fine with you playing the deck. What I dread, though, Krim, is like you make a video about your sweet Miracles deck, and then 100 new people who have never topped before pick it up, and I got to play against them on Magic Online, and my life is just absolutely ruined. Is every Modern match takes an hour as my opponents try to learn how to play top. Like, that's what I'm concerned about. It's not playing against someone like you who's topped 1 million times. It's like all those other people who've never done it before.
How is that, like, is that really a fate that is much worse than like oh god, imagine if somehow like mono blue Tron that's topping and playing Tron.
Yeah, that's
all right. I gotta try to finish. Would you rather play against eggs or top?
I would rather play against top. Eggs is awful. Okay, eggs is infinitely worse. So Krark-clan, all of that. Yeah.
Instead of taking all the time on one turn like eggs, you're just taking all the time spread over like every turn.
Every turn, yeah.
Yeah, but like
at least with eggs, you can be like, I'll check my phone. I'll come back in a little bit.
Yeah, at least with eggs, you can just leave. Playing against top is like they're just
between, like top is like happening like every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Is it better or worse that top and like Krark-clan, one is deterministic, the other is just like, all right, top, I lose.
Oh, all right. We gotta hit more of these cards. So I'm a no on top just for time reasons. Richard,
yes.
Are you no? Yes.
No. Power level, I think
Alright.
is fine, but for
Oh,
logistics,
I would agree.
you magic boomers! It's time to thrive in the new era with Top, a card from a boomer era.
All right. Speaking of boomer cards, Skullclamp.
This
Any-
is
any-
fine. This is fine.
Is it?
I look.
fine?
I
isn't
have
this
as
just
many
like
bad.
glimpse?
I feel like
No.
it's kind of like Glimpse. Yeah.
No, it's much easier to like do something about, right?
Like, which one's easier to break, Glimpse or Skullclamp?
I think Skullclamp would
Glimpse.
have more potential homes. Like more decks could play Skullclamp, I would say.
what deck would play that right now?
Hammer Time for
Yawgmoth?
sure.
Yawgmoth maybe? Like, does Yawgmoth play it?
Yogg maybe. Hammer.
Wait,
I think
what Hammer
Stoneforge
Time
decks
you
like
clamp?
Hammer Time. Esper Sentinel, Memnite.
Why would you clamp your Esper Sentinel?
Why wouldn't you draw 2 cards right away instead of maybe one in the future?
No, I see the thing. I see why it'd break because Ornithopter would then be a 1/1.
Yeah,
And
can
then,
get in.
now it's getting in. No, in all seriousness, I don't see how this is any worse. Like, again, this is just another thing that was probably like a bad beat story from its standard life, right? It was the most miserable thing to play against. But I, as someone who played through that standard, I would be willing to unleash this beast into modern because I just don't think it'll do. It won't be that bad. Maybe I'll mark my own words and eat my own words on this, but like, I just don't think it's that bad. Like, it really doesn't do anything busted, like compared to like everything else that's going on, right? And maybe Yogg gets a new toy, but like, does Yogg want this?
I will say I'm generally skeptical of equipment that isn't like living weapon based. Like there's just not a lot of it's really good anymore. Although Skullclamp is pretty cheap.
Is it though? Because when Modern in the Curve, like you're spending 1 mana, right? And if that 1 mana isn't like a Ragavan on turn 1, what else? Like what else are you doing, right? Like it's spending 2 to equip. I don't know.
Doesn't
I don't
this
know.
make
It's 2 to
every
cast, 1 to
creature
equip,
Ragavan
right?
almost?
Or, yeah,
one,
sorry.
1 and 1. 1 and 1. One to
it's
cast,
1
one to
and
It's
equip.
1 and 1.
Yep.
Yeah. I was like, hold on, Richard. I know. I remember how much this costs.
I know it's
to
1
play
to
in.
clamp for sure.
Yeah. 1 and 1.
What do you think, Richard? Could it be safe? Is it
I think
possible?
it's safe.
Yeah.
I
mean,
like
I'm
maybe there's a
skeptical.
broken deck, but the broken deck is not one of our current tier 1 decks, so it's probably fine.
Does this make Affinity good?
No.
No, probably not. They already,
Like we're talking like the old school, like the OG, like you know what I mean, right? Like
Yeah.
like the deck that made it miserable.
Mhm.
So-
like Ravager, like
Yeah.
I think Affinity's moved past that at this point. I'm trying to look at like there's been some no ban list modern tournaments. I'm not seeing a ton of it's mostly people doing broken combo-y things or delve things. Not a lot of like
yeah.
oh, I'm gonna play a super fair like Skullclamp and a bunch of creatures. I do see there's a young pyromancer Skullclamp deck that look kind of like, although it's
That's just fair.
there's deck names for this tournament. It's like Delver, Bant Spirits, Jeskai Stoneblade, and the young pyromancer Skullclamp deck is just Jank. That is the name, Jank. So maybe it would be fine. Speaking of equipment, there's one more on our list. Umezawa's Jitte. This is one that I think is the most fine. Like, I know people are going to be like, oh, I'm going to lock a creature deck out of the game. It's 2 to cast it, 2 to equip. Equipment suck. No one's going to win with this. I guess maybe it's a one of in like a Stoneblade deck, but I am not shook by Jitte in 2023. Not even a little.
What?
But what
Jitte's so
about
good.
my Merfolk and Elves deck?
Yeah. I mean, you give elves
Yeah, think
glimpse,
about
so they
this.
have a
What if your
chance,
stupid
and then you.
Omnath deck puts a Jitte in there? like you can't think like, oh, what if like Merfolk puts Jitte on, right? Like what if like Omnath carries a Jitte? Then what?
I'm
Or what
I
if like is it
Murktide.
Murktide decides to carry a Jitte, right? Like now you're like, huh? Like there's
I actually
no
don't think
counterplay
that's a problem.
to this. You got to
I
remove
don't-
the Seiju.
So
I
mean,
think it's Hammer Time. Like legitimately, Hammer Time now has efficient removal.
Yep.
and it also
Right,
wrecks
that-
Hammer
that's-
Time because it
well,
kills all
exactly.
their things. Yeah.
So, like, this would be essentially just, I resolved my jitte and I attacked first. I win.
Yeah, I guess that's
right.
You can
So, like,
snowball the monkey even harder because the monkey hits. It gives you the extra mana to get the jitte down and then continue your snowball.
I don't think you can allow this card to. I think it's still too broken. I think it might be too good. Just because Hammer Time now would just have one of the most efficient like ways to.
It gives everyone like Red and
out.
6. Essentially,
yeah,
you can start picking things off without having to play Red and 6.
Fury wouldn't do it anymore, right? Like if you don't have Fury on the spot, at some point I could pump past Fury, right?
Wouldn't that be 2 hits good? To not have Fury be as good?
But I mean, I think Fury's what keeps things in check, right? It kind of balances itself out, right? Where like, and like once that's gone, then it's just like, why wouldn't I play Hammer Time? Like Fury's not a problem anymore.
I mean, I guess on the other hand, though, there's a lot of decks that just wouldn't care. I guess it's true. There are matchups that would be good, but then like amulets and living ends and creativity, they don't care if you're playing some equipment.
Fair
like whatever, card. Go to town.
So those decks don't care about it.
I say try.
I'm in
it.
the I say no.
What if Amulet Titan plays jitte? they equip the Dryad.
Does this break?
Because they could, right? Against an aggro deck or something, they're like, well, I'm bringing JITTEs, I block, gain life, pick off your crap, like whatever. Like it's not versatile.
So every card on this list does actually just make Amulet Titan better.
Oh my god! I mean, I would try it. I would say try it. I'm not scared by it.
I don't think we do this. I don't think we do it. No.
Oh, it's not as scary as it was before though, because Fury and Red and 6 are taking care of all the small creatures already. But this is just like adding another one of those to the format. Another layer to gain life and like is actually a finisher. Like people don't use it often, but you can pump with jitte, and you will die. It's actually a quite decent pump. So
but it's what scary. +4/+4 each turn. It's +2/+2, right? And you get 2 counters. So not bad. Yeah, all right, maybe it's scarier than I think, but all right. Two last cards, real quick. I don't think they're very controversial. Tibalt's Trickery, which was banned not that long ago, mostly due to what looked like a meme deck where you counter your own spell and then cast an Emrakul or something. But that ended up actually being pretty good. Is there any reason that we would want that unbanned?
As I've learned from the past, meme decks, Feel of the Dead, Greasefang Parhelion, aren't all meme decks are where like misery starts, so let's just not even tempt it. Let's not tempt it. Leave this banned.
Yeah, I
is it better than creativity?
It doesn't matter. Like, I don't want to find out. Like, this is just one of those.
Is creativity just a better trickery now? I'm not sure.
Its best draws are just so fast because its best draws are turn 2, I guess. I guess it was turn 1 before Simeon Spear Guide got banned, but now it'd be turn 2 that you do your thing. So it is like meaningfully faster than creativity. Whether or not it'd actually be better overall, but I never like playing against trickery decks in any format. They're just like so swingy. So even if they work like 40% of the time, I don't know, maybe it's fine. It's kind of like Calibrated Blast, I guess, the same like jank, but then people 5-0 with it on occasion. I don't see a huge upside though. What about Uro? Is there any conversation to be had about Uro?
If I think like Oko is fine, Uro is fine in the current year.
Uro does.
Where modern because you can just use Uro as ramp.
Yeah.
Like, does it make Primeval Titan better? Like, probably yes.
Actually, never mind. It actually does. Hold on. It does make unironically, not a meme. It does make Amulet Titan a lot better. So no, never mind. We don't let her. No, never mind. I take it back. I am so wrong, and I'm a fool for mentioning it.
Like, the escape was just too much. Like, it was so inevitable. Even if you kill it, it comes back. And even if you kill it right away, it's still gaining life. It's still adding lands to the battlefield. So, yeah, I think it's just That was from that era where they just pushed everything way too hard. So many like of the modern or recent cards we've talked about come from that one year, from like Eldraine up through the year that followed. So many of the bannable cards came from that time. Well, technically, last card, Yorion Sky Nomad. Actually, we're ending with the most recent banning. This one was just banned not that long ago, October, I believe. So 9 months ago or something. I mean, we saw it very, very recently with basically the same card pool. I wish all companions were banned. Yorion just kind of took the place of Lurrus, where companions are really strong, so you really want one if you can, and that was the next easiest and most powerful one to play.
I think this is a fine ban.
Yeah.
I think it's so funny because when you think about it, it's just such a fair card. It also tested the limits of like what is like, you know, it pushed the boundaries of what's an acceptable like deck ratio, right? So, yeah. But like, and we learned a lot with it. I actually don't think power level. I don't know. Like this is so aggressively mid to me. I look at it and I just think it's okay. It's a very solid average card that does exist, and it's always it's more of the companion aspect than what it actually does.
It's a free
right. Like
card.
I think it is.
Like you trade one for one, you're all empty, and they're like, okay, cool, Yorion. And you're like, oh no.
Right.
Like the downside was not a downside whatsoever. The downside of having your deck be bigger, except if you have like small hands and play paper, like really didn't matter. There were enough.
I mean, in the year of Commander, this is still not there, right? Like
it is hilarious. The funniest part about the ban is Wizards never actually said it was about power level. They were like, yeah, it's only in like 6% of decks or something. But their problem was shuffling 80 card decks could be problematic, especially if they were double sleeved, which is the funniest argument in a world where Commander is the most popular format and people are constantly shuffling 100 card decks. I don't know why.
Because if you can't shuffle 100 card decks, you're like, whatever, I'll go play Modern. But now you gotta shuffle your 80. Like, I can't shuffle this thing either. Plus, if you spill your Commander deck, it's whatever. But if you spill your 60 card deck while shuffling, that's a big no at a tournament. So
I've done that, by the way. I literally can't even shuffle 60 cards. You know what? We need to get to Yu-Gi-Oh deck size, 40 card max, because 60 card double sleeve, dude, I'm spilling my deck everywhere, so it doesn't even matter.
They need to reverse your. What if they made a companion where your maximum deck size was like 30? Would that be like insanely powerful?
Well, you're literally playing Hearthstone.
Yeah. Wow, that would be interesting. I almost wish I could just to see how it would play, right? But I think it would end up being broken. It would be interesting to see what came out of it, though. I do miss being able to play Yorion with battles. I wish I could build a Yorion battle deck. I guess I do it in Pioneer, where it's actually still around, but I think Yorion battles would be sweet. But overall, I think just companions, the whole mechanic. I am happy that they're not around anymore for the most part. Anyway, I think that's the entire Modern ban list. So any final thoughts on the way out the door? Slightly longer cast today, but we made it through the whole thing. Any final thoughts about Modern, about the ban list on the way out the door?
I should just unban all these cards.
Free them all.
I feel Standard is so power creepy now that you might as well just unban them to keep Modern looking different.
Yeah?
Let's say Elves is tier 1. Does it really matter? Like, really? If Elves is tier 1 as opposed to is it Murktide or something? So there's some like really obviously broken cards, but anything that's borderline, they should definitely just unban. Like, I don't know why Punishing Fire is still here. Like, is someone really sweating it back at WotC headquarters? The one Merfolk player. Yeah, Elf player. Yeah. But I feel they should just unban most of these cards.
I mean, oh no, we skipped over Splinter Twin. Oh boy.
I thought we were saving it for the end, Seth.
Yeah,
this is the whole reason we had this podcast, was it not?
Apparently, yeah. Well, I guess we better talk about it now then, because we are actually at the end.
Well, we're already over, so we might as well give up and just go along.
Yeah, we might as it's happening one way or another. So Splinter Twin, I mean, that actually was the reason we wanted to do this past cast start with. It's a kind of a meme in the community to free Splinter Twin. It's been banned for a long time now. I think this is one of the easier unbans. Like, is it really going to be worse than Murktide? Does anyone even want to put Pestermites in their deck and Deceiver Exarchs in their deck when they can just cast a Murktide and kill you, or cast a Rakavon and kill you? I'm not seeing it. Like, I don't think it would be a problem. I don't even know if it'd be a tier 1 deck at this point.
Yeah, I think it's just it's too easy to hate out now, right? Like, all that tempo play, it's way too easy.
Yeah.
Like, I could just solitude you for free.
Force negation, solitude. Yeah, there's so many ways that you can answer it. And there's just bigger, better threats that don't require you to play. Like, Splinter Twin's not a good card. Deceiver Exarch's not a good card. Neither of those are good standalone cards. Like, you don't have to play bad cards now to make your Izzet deck work.
Half your deck
11
is
to
bad
like
cards.
12 cards, is like bad, right? Like, oh
Yeah.
my god. So, like, I just don't see a reason why you'd play it.
I mean,
And
maybe it
it's
would be a meme. Like, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Nostalgic reasons aside,
people
and,
would
maybe like
try.
memes. Right.
But I don't think it would be good, though. Do you think it'd be good, Richard? Like, could it actually be a problem, or is Murktide still the best way to play? Is it?
So can you win games with it? Sure, but you're playing 12 cards that you don't want to play in Modern. Like, this was a time where, like, Pestermite beats would get it done. You could just, like, cast 2 Pestermites, go to town and not even Splinter Twin, and you could get it done. Like, Snapcaster times, right? You don't want to play these stupid 2-1s and 1-4s in Modern. And let alone your, like, 4-drop that's, like, super telegraphed. And we have all the free spells and free removal now. So I wouldn't... like, if I was a Murktide player, I wouldn't even be looking at Splinter Twin to water down my deck. So I don't think it's good. The question is, can Splinter Twin with like some expressive iterations do any work? Probably. Like, just expressive iterations and Blood Moons. You can probably do some work with it, but I would say it's probably like tier 2 or 3 deck, something like that. I don't think it's that good.
That's kind of where I land. I think, like, people would play it and it would probably be okay, but I don't think it's going to, like, dominate the format. I think all the things you mentioned are true. There's so many more ways to interact. Plus, the format's faster. Like, it's not the world where, you know, you're just doing nothing until turn 4, and that's, like, how Modern works. Like, decks are just so much faster, and the format's so much faster today that a combo deck that has to play 2 bad cards and can win on turn 4, that's just really not all that frightening in a world of, like, the Cascade decks and Hammer Time decks and the Primeval Titan decks. They're doing their big thing even faster than your Splinter Twin deck would be. So I think this would be a very safe one. Oh, I don't want to say very safe, but I do think it would be safe to unban. I think that it would not be an issue in Modern. Yeah. Everybody, everyone on board.
I think we
Free
all
twin?
agree with that, right? Like, legitimately free twin, yeah.
Anyway, I think that brings us to the end of our podcast for today. So go back, listen to the first podcast. I'll try to, if you're somewhere where I can link things, I'll try to put a link to the first podcast if you missed any of the other cards we talked about. But definitely let us know what you think about all these cards in the comments. What should be unbanned? What's safe? What's not safe? Is there anything we missed? Let us know about that. So Richard Grimm, thanks for hanging out. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to Card Conduit for supporting the show. And we will be back next week to talk about March of the Machines Aftermath and whatever else goes on in the world of Magic. So until then, everyone, have a spectacular week. And this is a crew signing out.